All right, so following the church shooting in Minnesota, which was obviously very tragic this past week, there were a lot of questions on religious liberty. And one specific question sort of went over the media's heads in the sense of what really is the seriousness on what's going to be done with regards to defending churches. So is Trump going to arm churches? Is he going to give money to help with security? This is a very interesting question that was asked. Let's take a look at this.
Mr. President,
Go ahead,
in
please.
light of the Minnesota shooting last week, the Department of Homeland Security is now awarding more than $100 million to hundreds of faith organizations across the country to help them ramp up security. What's your vision for further protecting religious liberty across the country amid incidents of threats and
So
violence?
religious liberty is so important, and we're talking about every religion now, and we're doing things on that nobody else has ever done, and we're going to be having a big announcement in about 2 weeks on that question.
So in a couple of weeks, Trump is going to announce something very huge with regards to churches, not just Christian churches, but all religious institutions and arming or defending themselves in some way. And so I'm not going to speculate and say, oh, they're going to allow guns and make people hold them and have all this like security everywhere and all that stuff. But I believe that Trump is going to enable churches to be able to have self-defense, just like how many, I don't know, Texas churches, if you see some of the southern churches having armed security, having armed officers in nearby places so that they can take down shooters easily. So this is not just about guns, but with regards to persecution and how Trump and the administration is going to help with essentially defending themselves. And so I just want to give this quick commentary. I know a lot of people are sensitive with regards to, guns and gun violence and all that stuff. But if you look in the Bible, there were two instances where Jesus commanded his disciples to go out with, in one instance, with stuff, right? Taking with you a tunic and having swords with you and all these things. And then another instance where he had nothing, or instructed them to have nothing, to take with you nothing, not an extra tunic, none of these things, and just go out and allow the Lord to serve you, meaning that other people, through their generosity, you will be provided for, and trusting and having faith in him. And then, of course, we see Peter before Jesus was captured, he striking off the ear of the high priest right before he was captured. And so it wasn't like a surprise where Peter wasn't like armed just that day. He was likely armed with his sword, and maybe the other disciples as well, throughout their journey across wherever they were going. And so it's not mentioned enough with regards to self-defense and having weapons on you. And don't forget, Jesus is coming back for Armageddon and for this whole battle, and he's going to be like killing people. He's going to be judging people. He's going to be destroying demons, demon slayers, and all that stuff. And so the question that I want to present to many of you is that this may be the next frontier. As if you believe that it's going to get worse and there's going to be persecution, you're going to have the Antichrist and all that stuff happening in our lifetime, or if you believe like I do, it's going to be a bit later. But the point is, there is real persecution. There are madmen out there that are going to attack churches and shoot up people and kill children, sadly. But to each their own, just like with COVID and having 6 feet distance and having masks on and not singing and all that, it's going to be a case by case, church by church decision based on what you want to do with regards to arming or defending yourself, especially if you're in a troubled neighborhood or a city area where there's a lot of violence. Like, what do you want to do as a pastoral staff, as a leadership body, to make sure that your flock, your congregation, is safe? Because you don't want to just go out there and say, oh, you know what, we'll trust the Lord and just do nothing about it, right? You don't go out and have no strategy. But at the same time, if you're too strict and you have all these rules and you live by whatever it is like that you have with your processes, it may be, I don't know, in some people's eyes, too much. And so I would love to know in the comments what you guys think, how this may impact you, as it may be another decision point for religious organizations to make sure that you are on top of what the future will hold. Because especially in America, guns and self-defense and just chaos is going to be prevalent in some sense going into the end time. So how are you going to deal with it? How are you going to think about it? You may have to be in a position where you're going to either butt heads with people and you're going to be sifted. Like you are in this camp or you're in that camp. The same thing happened with COVID. You're here or you're there. You agree or you don't agree. And that might be this next frontier of how you deal with the possible chaos of the future. And so just want to bring that out there as a point of something to just think about and really pray on, but also as in anticipation for what the next couple of weeks will hold as Trump announces something. Is this money going to be available for all churches? And if you take some of it, what will you do with it to be a steward of the resources? If you're given, $100,000 and it's in $100 million or more is earmarked for religious organizations, how are you going to apply for it or get it if you so choose to do that? Or are you going to do something else, you know, within your organization to make some choice to either defend or protect or whatever it is that you need to be able to do? And so it's a very interesting question. I would love to know your thoughts, but I want to bring that out there because it could be something that many people, maybe even across the world, have to think about as more persecution, as more of this attacks. And I see a lot of it in Europe, especially Christians being attacked. You have Hollywood attacking, Christianity. This new movie, The Carpenter's Son, is coming out. You have all these different things. How are you going to sit there and, in some sense, defend yourself if you want to defend yourself, or are you going to take the hits? And so it's an interesting question, something to ponder, reflect on. But I believe that you got to have an answer, because you don't want to go out there and just like be stumbled because you don't know what side you're on if you say there is a side, or how you want to think through a difficult question such as this. Because if you don't know now and you don't have it resolved in your heart, and later on when push comes to shove, when you're pressured, it may be very difficult to align, agree, and to, in some sense, pick a side. So love you guys. Just want to give you guys this as some thoughts. There's a lot going on, a lot of prayers needed, especially for the believers, Trump, the administration, politics, and just many other things that are happening right now. You guys know I'm doing a fundraiser. I really need you guys' support, trying to meet our goal. Me and my team, we're going through a lot of different things right now, and we are doing this series in September to really advocate for this, to get myself back up and posting on this channel, as well as just sharing a lot of things as the Lord is leading. Oh, and the link for the Give, Send, Go is down below. I also have alternative forms of giving if you want to look into that, but would love your support. Love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.